Hi, guys. Welcome back to System Reset, the podcast with your hosts.
So we have a name now, I guess. Yeah.
We
Well,
do.
I'm Frank.
I'm Lila. And we decided on System Reset. We
We.
have asked, yes, we. I
You
gave
came up with
Frank,
that. Yeah.
I gave Frank a list of different names, and surprisingly, he wasn't that picky this time. Anyways, let's get to it because today we actually have a lot of topics to talk
Well,
about.
before we get into that, why don't you explain what the name means and wh- what we're about, I guess. Could start there.
Well, if you guys have watched our previous podcast, you guys know that we did a little bit of like a test, an intro, and kind of already explained what we are about. But the whole point of picking System Reset as the name is it's just talking about like reset the system, reset your mind, reset your ideas. And it's a lot of it to do with technology and also kind of like modern. I think there's so much there's like multiple entendres with the name. And that's why I thought it was a cool name. But and Frank agreed.
Okay. I guess.
Do you have
Out
anything
of,
to add?
I, out of the selections that I had, there was, or you gave me like 10 names, and I'm like, all right, that one's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot has happened this week. A lot.
We got a new
Uh,
president today.
Yes, we do. It is January 20th right now as we're recording it. So today's his first day in office. Frank is actually way more into politics than I am. I know a few things, but he knows all the things because he's always watching everything that's going on. So he watched, Trump go into office and do all of these things. And yeah, you thought it was going to be a bigger event. You didn't you? You were saying
I
like
don't. I
yesterday that you thought it was probably going to be like a day long thing.
Well, it was a day
Hmm.
long thing, but I didn't realize he was going to get sworn in right at 9 a.m. our time because we're on the West Coast. I knew it started at noon East Coast time, so I thought that there was going to be a bunch of stuff going on, and then he was sworn in somewhere in the middle. I didn't realize it was starting right with the swearing in. Um,
Hmm.
right then, that was interesting. And then it was a bunch of stuff going on, and you know, an address where he said what he was planning on doing. He did a few executive orders, and I think he's headed to the White House now to sign some more executive orders, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, it seemed pretty good. No crypto stuff. He didn't sign any. He didn't even mention crypto, which I thought was actually kind of a good thing because if they're going to, start a strategic Bitcoin reserve, um, then they're going to have to buy a lot of Bitcoin. And if he announces it, then the price is going to shoot up, and then they're going to be buying it at a much higher price. So it would be smarter for them to start buying and then announce that they're doing it. Um, so it's actually a good, kind of a good thing. I mean, it is a good thing that they're doing it. Just that we were all kind of excited about it, hoping he might say something, but it would be stupid for them to announce it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we'll
Yeah.
see.
We'll see. We do have some talks on crypto and some things that this week Frank had some mixed feelings about, but we'll get to that soon. We're going to start off with something that everybody has been talking about and that ended quickly and started up back again really quick. The TikTok ban.
Which I could
So,
give two farts about. Can I swear? Can I say shits?
yeah, we we
Okay.
we we gone through that last one.
Okay. I
So,
forgot.
with the TikTok ban, I've been on TikTok since I think since before it was an editing software back in 2017 where people were actually just using it to edit videos and not actually make any content on it. There wasn't really a platform back then. And I posted like a couple of just funny edits with music on top, almost like a musically type thing. Um, Frank probably doesn't know what that is. He has no idea what
I
musically
know
is.
I barely know what TikTok is.
He
I refused to download it when it first came out or for how long has it been a thing?
no, well, the thing is, TikTok, where it started to blow up, was during the pandemic.
Yeah. So it's
But
been years.
it's been
Yeah.
way before that, it was
Yeah.
an editing software, is what I was trying to say.
Well, what I'm saying is I like for years I just refused to even download it or do anything. I didn't want it on my phone just because I knew that it was a much more, you know, dangerous in the sense of data security and stuff like that and giving all your information to China. I just didn't want, I had no reason to be on it anyway, so I didn't want it on
Mm-hmm.
my phone and giving them access to everything on my phone. I just didn't want to for no reason, so I just never got it. Uh, More recently, I did just because I knew that it became more of a freedom of speech sort of thing, even though it's not. It's still more like I've heard mixed things about that it is highly censored, um, but it is not controlled by the U.S. government, so it's just an alternative to certain things. I don't know. So I just kind of downloaded it just in case more recently, and oddly enough, I already had a profile. I didn't know that. I don't think I created one.
He says that he didn't create one. Um, but then I saw him like lies. You don't have a TikTok, but it says Balance Films.
That's weird. It's very weird. So
But yeah, I mean, I was actually like, I'm never getting a TikTok too. Um, in 2020, my sister started going on TikTok regularly when it started to kind of become a thing and blow up. And she was actually doing those dances on TikTok and all of that. But she got a lot of followers, like thousands of followers, like really quickly, because back then the algorithm was different and it showed you to absolutely everybody, which it has changed over time. But still, the For You page is what it is based on your preference, based on the stuff that you like. The more you like things, the more you watch things, the more it figures out what you like
I've
based
never
on that.
liked anything ever on the, I've never scrolled on it. I've never, the only time I've ever even used it was if I needed to look at some, like if somebody sent me something and I just opened it up and you, for whatever reason, it's hard to even see it if you don't have an account. So,
Hmm.
um, that's it. Never liked anything ever.
Well, you don't even like things on Instagram that much, anyways, either. Like
No,
it's like here and there. I always have to try to get him. I'm like my posts, like
I'm not a social media guy. I've
he has
deleted.
to be now. That's the thing. That's the thing that we talk about a lot is like he's not a social media guy. But with this generation, like if you want to have anything, especially in the creative field, you need to have social media. That's the unfortunate part. It sucks. It does
Yeah,
suck, but it's what it is.
it's annoying. I
Yeah.
hate content creators like always just it once you get sucked into it, it's like you have to constantly post crap. And
Mhm.
there's now, with AI and whatnot, and people, it's so easy to create content that in order to keep up with I forget what was the word people said, those like, it's not shit posting, it's like these they're just posting so much garbage. What
Yeah.
was the word that
I honestly forget the word for
but
it.
it
I
was
know
just that
exactly.
they're just posting so much garbage that in order to
One
keep
will
up with
land.
in order to
Yeah.
keep up with that's all just AI nonsense. You have to create a lot of stuff, and it's just I don't want to keep up with that.
Yeah. I mean, if in case some of you guys don't know and just randomly landed on this podcast, I am a content creator and I create content of all sorts of different niches, I guess. But primarily lately it's been on the Dirty Carnivora, as some of you guys watching may know. And honestly, like I've learned a lot when it comes to content creating, finding some like viral forms of how to make videos click to get more views and even hate comments, which I think are beneficial. But one thing I found is that if you consistently post 2 times a day, you're going to gain followers like a minimum 2 times a day. That's when I was doing
Too
the
much.
best, it's 2 times. But you see, the thing is, like, you don't have to do all the time. Eventually, once you get to a point, once you get to your goal, whatever you reach, like, I don't know, your goal's 100K, then you can start posting once a day, but there's multiple ways to make content and you can do it ahead of time and you don't have to do it every day. And that's kind of like the way I keep sane. Because
Yeah,
otherwise I would go mentally insane.
I've seen I think I've seen like someone like Gary V or somebody like that will be like, you need to be posting every day and just keep going and you won't see anything for a very long time and eventually it will hit. And
Yep.
it's like that's not what I want to do. Like
Yeah.
for those who don't know me, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a storyteller. I write scripts, I try to make movies. I've done a lot of video work for big brands and whatnot. Done some YouTube stuff for big, I guess, YouTube channels with like 20 million plus subscribers, but they hire me specifically to do bigger projects with big budgets. I hate
Mhm.
to do content for myself. I hate being on camera. Don't like it, but um, yeah, I like to tell stories for either other people or for movies, I guess.
Which is so interesting coming from a Leo, who they thrive to be center of attention. Oh, but no. Do you know what it is? What with all the Leos I know that are like, oh, like I'm like, I don't care so much about being center of attention. It's not necessarily that all of them want to be, but they don't mind to be. If the attention goes on to them, they absolutely love it.
I guess.
Don't lie. Don't lie. Anyways, back to the TikTok ban. Long story short, I ended up joining TikTok back in 2020. I actually did get a lot of people as well, like big growth really quick because back then it was different. Like you just got thousands of views and so many followers, and I went on live and eventually got to 500,000 people, and then I ended up getting banned from live, but that's a story for another time. Now, fast forward, we kept hearing talks about TikTok is going to be banned in the US, and this was years ago. Years ago. And I never
Finally
thought it was going to
happened.
happen, but it finally did happen. But I also knew that it was probably not going to be for long until either someone bought it or it just came back. That's kind of like where I was, thinking it was going to happen. But everybody was panicking, going crazy, thinking that it was like some people were
Everyone,
having,
I
well,
could care less.
the people creating the content on there that had full-time jobs and stuff, doing content creating and all that. But Frank and I have talked a lot about our opinions on that on TikTok, and it's like data and all sorts of stuff. He has
Well,
different opinions than I do, but also kind of, I guess agrees to some extent. But yeah, you could share your view.
I said I had mixed feelings. Like I don't I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Like I've heard yes, um the underlying code that runs it grants a whole lot of access to a whole lot of stuff on your phone, stuff that no other apps give access to. I've heard people who are coders who have looked at the code and said it's scary what that app gives access to. Um, and it's the Chinese government. It's not just our government, where I don't trust either, but at least we have some sort of checks and balances where and a legal recourse in this country where we can do something about it. If Apple oversteps its boundaries, which they have done, you can hold them accountable. You can do something.
But
China,
can the average person like sue Apple?
if
That's
we
the thing.
find out that they're doing something, sure, we can collectively do something in this country. But in China, I mean, there's nothing we can do, and you've already given it to them.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, so I'm torn on it. I don't. Anytime the government's trying to shut something down, that's when I started to switch my. I'm like, wait. Why do you guys want to shut it down? You know what I mean? Like,
But
are they
see,
doing some? Are they doing something right? Like, so I get a little iffy on it.
TikTok, on its fine print, and Shane Dawson made a video about this, in his conspiracy theories, shares like biometric data and also show like it monitors your eye movement, your fingerprints, also the way you type, how fast you type, the things that you
So
search
you're giving
for.
you're giving China your fingerprints.
You're
You're
giving,
giving yeah.
but the thing is that it was also shown that in the US, there are other technologies that do very similar things,
I
like cars. Cars monitor your heartbeat, and
sure sure
even says
yeah.
sexual activity on the print, on the
But
print.
but here's the only thing. So the US and US companies, yes, they have a lot of our data and they have a lot of stuff going on. However, Apple is American. They are not our enemies. Like where China is an enemy to the United States. And if there is ever a conflict between the US and China, which there very well could be,
Hmm.
um, they could activate some sort of whatever and destroy America from the inside. And it's they could already be doing it as they're already kind of destroying American minds from the inside. That they have influence over the youth of America through the app,
Yeah.
and that is a little scary. But yeah, I don't know.
Before we add
Again,
on to
I'm
this,
torn on that issue. I don't have a
all
whole
of
lot to say about it. It's TikTok. I don't give a shit about TikTok.
all of what we're saying are just theories. Um, just for you guys to know, or we're discussing theories, and we're gonna have lots of conspiracy theories and stuff
What?
on
How,
this
how many?
podcast.
How many topics do we have? Because
Yeah.
yeah,
We're gonna get to the next one. I just wanted to finish
yeah,
this a little bit.
sure. I just wanted to know how many there were,
Yeah.
so I can kind of figure out how much time we should spend on each one.
Yeah. So with the whole TikTok thing, my view with it was particularly that just because we don't want China to fuck us, does not mean that America isn't going to fuck us. And
Well,
that
they are going to fuck us.
that's that's what I mean. I feel like in
It's like who do you
reality,
want
it's
to
like,
fuck you?
who do you exactly? Exactly. So, yeah. But moving on forward from that, TikTok is back. It's still not back on my phone. For some reason, it's back on Frank's. And they say that it's because I asked ChatGPT, like as I do with everything, as we do with everything. And it said that it's still not available on the app stores again and things. So it's taking its time. And for some users, it's gotten back, and for some, it has not. So I just happen to be one of the people that it hasn't even when I'm trying to get on live again. Anyways, moving on. There are a couple of topics today. And we're gonna dive into crypto a little bit in the end because there's a couple of crypto questions that I have for Frank. So I know that Frank's not gonna like this topic, so we're gonna keep it nice and short. But
Oh joy.
it is about the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
It's all you. It's all
Okay,
you. I
so I
literally could.
wanna.
I could care even less about this topic than the TikTok thing. You probably should have like done one other topic in between that came over to another one. But go ahead, keep going.
Well,
Let's do it.
well, knowing that this probably will be repeated if there's updates on stuff like that, but the reason why I kind of wanted to bring it up is to bring light on talks about Hollywood and the media and all sorts of stuff like that. Long
Don't
story
believe
short,
anything. If it comes
yeah,
from Hollywood,
I totally, yeah.
they're spinning stories. Yeah.
Mhm. We don't know what's going on the inside with this case. You know, they could both be wrong or whatever. But the funny thing I found is that obviously some other time, maybe the next podcast, I'm gonna go a little bit more into depth to try to give you guys some points as to what's happening to round it out. But basically, it ended up being that the two co-stars are not getting along, and then from Justin Baldoni, everybody was on his side to then all of a sudden they're on Blake Lively's side to all of a sudden back on Baldoni's side real quick. So, and I found it funny how with the media and everything that was going on, the New York Times made a whole article about it and all that, and then he ended up suing the New York Times. Um, and then eventually sued Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds because of their what's the word for it? What's that word that when you defamation for defamation of his character. But the main thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was that it's not just like don't believe anything that you see in Hollywood, but it's the fact that, and this is a really controversial subject, it's
Except
the whole
believe all women, no matter what.
exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Because women never lie, ever.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't. Never. It can't. They can't do it.
Yeah.
So
They
just no matter what, believe all women.
Yeah, and it's just like I get a lot of hate for saying stuff like this or talking about these topics because I am a woman and I like should be, it makes me look like I'm a pick me girl. And I don't think Frank knows what that is, but
No, I don't. I used. Is it women that like say things just so that way people will like them or something?
basically, yeah.
I want to be on
Um,
the boys' team or
yeah,
something.
pretty much, pretty
The
much.
fake red pillars.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they could be pick me of anything, any type of subject or whatever.
Mm.
Like even so to just disagree on that to look cool or whatever, but yeah, it's that whole thing. It's just
Well,
like
that's like the nice guys that just they go to women's marches just to try to get laid, or yeah, it's a pick. That's a pick me man.
so Frank has his own definition of things sometimes.
I'm just.
But
Does
let
that fit though? Does that
I
fit?
it does fit, it does. But
Hmm.
actually, speaking of the girls version, the guys version, Frank, why don't you give us a small little roundabout description of what a nice guy and a kind guy is. Since you talk about it so much.
I mean, who doesn't know what a nice guy and a kind guy is, or a kind person? You don't know the difference between nice and kind. I, although I think what you're getting at is someone made a post and it had to do with the nice guys, and I said something. That's what you're trying to? Yeah. Okay. It's just a night. You. This is tough. Wh- uh, Someone can be a nice guy or a kind guy, but a nice guy typically is surface level. You're doing stuff specifically, and not always, but they can be doing things just because they want people to like them. You're doing something nice for people, but it's something that's kind. Um, it doesn't matter whether they like you or not. You're trying to do what's best for that person. So I think
As for kind.
that's what kind was. Kind was doing what's best for the person, whether or not they'll like you for it.
Yeah, so I know a couple of
It's
people
deeper.
that, yeah, but see, a lot, again, what you think people know, they don't. Not
What does
everybody
this have
knows
to do
that.
with Justin Baldoni and
It's the
Blake
same thing.
Lively?
It's the same thing as a pick me, but instead the male version is what they're trying to talk about. But the reason why I kind of
Well,
wanted to
oh,
bring that
you're
up is
meaning
like
nice guys, specifically for guys or something, but there's nice guys that are also kind, but if there's a guy who's just nice and isn't kind, he might be just being nice
I think I
because he
just
wants
had a
people to like.
stroke.
What?
I was like, wait, the nice guy, the kind guy does so the nice guy.
I yeah.
But I
I
mean, the reason why I want to bring that up too is because I'm sure it's gonna come up again, and then we at least know the definition of it and from Frank's perspective of stuff.
we got
Um,
10 minutes by the way. We just got the warning.
yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go. We're probably gonna have to.
We'll speed it up.
Well, I'm speeding it up. We're almost finished, but we're probably gonna have to launch another just for the last few minutes of this. Okay, so let's talk about Trader Joe's. Now, the eggs have been getting recalled. Do you think that it has anything to do with the bird flu thing? And do you think that there's any correlation? It's funny how two things happened and then suddenly the eggs are recalled. One, the bird flu thing, and two, as soon as they released an article saying that eggs are good for you. And it just happened at the same time.
I'm not sure. I obviously I don't trust them, the theys in the government, the different whoever's putting out these articles and trying to make things good for you and bad for you, or tell you that things are good for you, or tell you that things are bad for you. But um, I don't know. I I I eat eggs. I ignore the when they were telling you that, oh, eggs are bad for you. Um, I don't like that the eggs just you go into the store and they're now $7 a dozen. That's ridiculous. Luckily, I get them at a different place that are $3 a dozen. Not going to say where because I don't.
All of a sudden, everyone goes. That's how I knew you. All of a sudden, that was funny. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much going on now that people are starting to wake up. Some people, not all people.
The
But there
eggs aren't
is.
going to kill you. Eggs aren't as bad for you as uh was uh, a pack of cigarettes, as my dad said.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that every time Frank's dad calls, he always says, "How many eggs have you had today?"
He's a vegetarian
He's plant-based.
who thinks eggs are bad for you.
We laugh all the time. Okay, so well, I wanted to kind of bring up the topic of bird flu some other time and do some more deep dive research into it, find some articles and maybe share it with you guys as well on screen
Mhm.
share. Um, but we're wrapping up with the last bit, which are the crypto questions and all
Okay.
of that. Uh, Something happened with crypto. Like a lot of things happened with crypto in this past week. Was it the all-time high? You got another all-time high?
Yes, we did last night at about 11 o'clock p.m.
And Frank
Pacific
was
Standard
very
Time.
happy, like a kid on Christmas.
I mean, I was like, wow. I wouldn't say I was happy because it was weird. It was like, we had a crash and then it came out of nowhere that it went up. But the crash was because of, do you want me to get into this or?
Yes, that's the next.
So, so Trump and his infinite wisdom, uh, released a meme coin. And in one way, it's like, what are you doing? I hate meme coins. But in another way, it's like, hey, it's kind of cool that a president is releasing a coin. I mean, it's like, all right, I guess crypto has made it into the mainstream. It's kind of cool, I guess. But um, and meme coins do bring in capital. They can bring in new users, new people into the space, as it did for me with originally with Dogecoin. It was kind of my first kind of foray into crypto. At least I started learning about it, and then I, learned more about Bitcoin and I've been studying it ever since and was like, wow, this is really something. And there's something to Bitcoin. The meme coins are pretty stupid, but um, so yeah, he released a coin, the Trump coin, and everybody what you would call aped in. They jumped into the coin, started buying it up. I heard about it early and could have gotten in fairly early at a pretty low price, but I was like, no, I'm not. It's not for me. I don't waste my time on meme coins, even if I could have 10x my money on it. Um, and it was okay. It did fine, but then they released the Melania coin the very next day, and everybody like jumped out of the Trump coin into the Melania coin. And keep in mind when the Trump coin came out, it's not like people were pulling, there were not a ton of people were just putting new money in. They were really sucking the liquidity from other legitimate projects. So a lot of the other projects were going down in price and it was all going into the flowing into the Trump coin. So it's like kind of messed up, but it was all on the Solana network. So, and I have a lot of Solana, so at least that, I mean, that went to all time highs, but all the other stuff was going down. So kind of my portfolio kind of leveled itself out. So it was okay. But when the Melania coin came out, it it was weird. It
It
crashed the
was
entire
Trump.
system.
Trump did it because he wanted to be romantic and have his,
You
his
think
wife
that's what you
included.
really? You think that was it?
What bigger grand gesture can you do than make a meme
I
coin?
don't know. Yeah. So anyway, it crashed down. It was like, you know, up around Bitcoin was up to like 106,000, then crashed down to like 99,000, and it was just kind of leveling off. And then out of nowhere, shoots up to 109,000. And now we're back at 101,000. So, I mean, it's been a roller coaster of a day up and down. So.
Oh, yes. So I'm going to actually save the last question for next time, for the beginning of the podcast, because next week, not only are we going to share news and all sorts of stuff and, discuss different topics as we do, but also Frank here is going to teach you guys slowly but surely how to start investing in crypto. What's the best ways to do so? And Frank is the expert.
Hey, that's it. I'm no expert. Don't like I know a thing or two. I can answer some questions, but I am not an expert. This is not financial advice. Okay?
This is not financial advice, and everything that we discussed are theories and
Yeah.
all sorts of that.
But if you do
All that
have
jazz.
questions that you can leave them somewhere, I don't know, where are they going to leave comments? So,
You guys can leave it on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. If you guys are watching in the video form, you guys could leave it on Spotify, or you guys can privately DM us. If you guys have any questions, privately DM us and we'll try to include it within the next podcast. So, yes. Do you have anything else to add before we like
no. Nope.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Bye bye.